This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
You are listening to the Red Pill Hardcore Radio. Hosted by you. Keep it real, take a red pill.
He is scheduled for 60 minutes next. He's going on French, British, Italian, Japanese television. People everywhere are starting to listen to him. It's embarrassing.
Yes, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show. It's a good thing I have 3 different internet connections, so I can stay here and do what I do best, and talk and talk and talk about the issues. So today we have Toby Hewitt with us, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
How are you, V?
I am doing okay. How are you?
Hello, Toby. I'm all right. Could be better.
So, what are we talking about today?
I had spoken to Toby prior to the show, and what Toby wanted to discuss today was her basic story, what has gone on with her and her issue of targeting. She has, we did an interview with Toby on Targeted, and Toby's story is pretty incredible in what she has gone through. And she wanted to go into what she has been through pretty much as a targeted individual.
Okay. Let's do it.
Okay.
All right.
Started 16 years ago, September 15th, 2004. I was invited to go fishing and camping with the man I was living with and his family. And, I didn't think nothing of it. We weren't getting along or nothing, but, I'm living up there on my reservation. And, I like the mountains, and I was a drinker back then, and, I was ready to go. Anyway, I nothing like this ever came to my mind at all that existed. And I get flashbacks now of that night. I guess I must have woke up at one time when I see all three dark figures around me in my tent, and then I go black. So I guess that's when they'd probably give me chlorophene or that blackout stuff.
Yeah, chloroform.
Yeah.
So, you were abducted?
Basically, I would say so. And I get, after that, I'll get a flashback of a round light above my head, and they had an expedition, and I Google, the inside of an expedition, so I'm thinking that's when they scooted me inside the expedition. Like, I think I was coming in and out of the chlorophene, what you said, and then...
Yeah, chloroform.
But that didn't come until years later. I remember, like, after I went camping, we came back, and they just acted strange. Well, actually, the next day, I came out of my tent. I'm thinking it was the 16th, but now I think back on, I could have been out for days. I have no idea. And I come out of my tent, and they're all sitting around the fire, and they're eating, but they're like, I'm like spiritual. I could feel like, or see auras, and they just looked as strange, and felt strange to me, but I let it go. I wanted a beer, and, and that's all I was thinking about. And then I go home, and then suddenly, like, I think it was like the next couple days, I started to get panic attacks, and I don't know, I didn't know why. I was just scared. My whole body was scared. And these are like the symptoms I started to go through right after they had implanted me with chips in my head. I've got a CAT scan that shows 3 in my head. and I had no idea what was going on with me. And then all of a sudden I started hearing music. About a week later, I hear the Eagle, a rock and roll station that I usually listen to a lot. And I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe the neighbors are playing it really loud. And then I go by the outlets or electricity, you know, like light bulbs or you know, like the outlets, and the music would get louder. And I'm like, okay, well, I just let it go. And then pretty soon I started seeing things, you know, and my knees would be burning on fire, and it was crazy. And the voices started to come. Yeah,
well,
the voices.
Tell me about the voices. What do they say?
They would tell me that they're above me in my attic, and they're about to shoot my kids. And I would get out, you know, I would go over, I would get out of my house, and I would go look. I would look in, you know, above, and to me, it looked like there could be somebody. And, you know, my attic was like, 2 feet high. You know, nobody could fit in it. And I called the police like maybe 250 times in 1 month, and they, you know, because I was so scared, I didn't know what was going on. And the guy that I was living with, you know, he had stapled garbage bags across my porch in front of my house, and I didn't understand why. He goes, oh, it's because of the snow. But I'm thinking that was maybe like a projector, so I could, because I would see all kinds of stuff. They would project, I would see really awful stuff. And like tonight, they try to confuse me with the names of the ones that did this to me, because I know who did it to me. And they're like, oh, no. And, you know, they're telling me, I'm sitting here trying to look them up again, because they'll make my mind go blank sometimes. So I wrote their names down. And last January, one of them is a town away. He got arrested for sexual assault on a child under 12. You know, slowly I started to find out stuff about this guy. I didn't know him too well, and I just jumped into. I wanted to leave the city, and I always left the city. I would go back to my res a lot, and after a while, I started learning things about him. He had been in prison 28 years, and you know, and then he started to work for the police over there on my res. I come on my bedroom one time, and they had him wired up with the microphone on him, you know, and I'm like, well, you know, what's going on here, you know, and
you excuse me, you physically saw the microphone?
Oh yeah, and his arms were up, and they were taping it around his chest, and I just turned around and walked back in my room. I was like, you know, and it was just me against the world back then. I'm like, because I'm not going to tell nobody. I hear voices. They would have me walking downtown on the res. Oh, go there. Oh, they're going to shoot you. Oh, that green car is coming up. You know, watch out, because they're the ones that are going to kill you. You know, I would be walking here. I'd be walking there. And don't let their daughter take a shower, because we're watching her, you know. And she, Mama, why can't I take a shower? You know, she didn't understand, you know. And they tell me, get out of your house, or it's going to blow up, and the whole block is. I went home one time, and the bathtub, the toilet, everything was stuffed full of newspaper, and I was like, and I seen a recipe like that on like Cops or something, where they had made a pipe bomb out of newspaper and something. But then they kept telling me, I had, you know, we're going to blow you and your daughter up. You know, this went on like in my head. I'm like trying to act like I'm brave, you know, and not knowing what's going on. And then so I finally left the res on Easter to go back to the city to see my family. And then when I went back to my house, a whole bunch of people had moved in there. And it was an awful time. And I ended up I had a breakdown, and I got institutionalized. They told me they shot my year-old granddaughter. And it would sound just like their voices. I could hear my sons cry. They told me they kidnapped my older son. They said he was playing basketball, and I could hear him crying, Mama, it's all right, Mama, it's not your fault, Mama. You know, and it was him. You know, to me, it was him. I don't know how they were doing it. And then they would start laughing and saying, ha, ha, we got your son. Another time I had called the police because they told me they had kidnapped my daughter. They go, where? And I could hear the ocean. I could hear her crying for me. And they're saying, we have her here. We're kidnapped her. And she's like calling me, Mom, you know. And I went on and on with this. And I had another breakdown.
I am so sorry you went through all this. So why do you think you were targeted to begin with? We have to start there, really.
I think because he's a snitch and he done, and you know, he's a heroin addict. So I'm thinking that he's just tired of being in the prison, you know, and he's a long criminal. So he, you know, they probably advertised it in prison, and you know, they probably said, you know, work for us, and you know, we got you hooked up for life. And you know, I didn't realize what an evil person he was, you know, until I started learning. You know, I had come from a really bad situation, you know, and then I jumped right back into another one without even thinking. And I left the city, and yeah.
Well,
and
okay. The thing though about the V2K, usually it's yes. We're going to scare the crap out of you. We're going to make you think that we're going to kill you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then okay, well, we want you to kill yourself. And then it's okay, we want you to do this, or we want you to do that. Usually, when you make it through long enough, they start telling you what it is they actually want. So, do they tell you what they want?
No, I went through the suicide you know, time, and then I had a really bad time. So I heard about a prayer, you know, from California Alcatraz to Washington D.C. And so it took six and a half months, but I took it because I thought, well, maybe I can get away from this stalker, because I thought he was sitting across the street with a microphone, you know, constantly following me, because he would be there. I'd go to the corner, there he'd be, you know, so I was thinking, oh, it's not, you know, he's following me around with a microphone. The first year, that's what I believed, because he even followed me back to the city, and, yeah, he did this for a couple years, and then I went to Washington, D.C., and then I got married when I got back, so you don't follow me. I don't get the crowd following me no more. I used to get the same crowd like standing outside my house. I would be like, because I used to watch, you know, I really careful about my kids, so I arranged TVs, mirrors, everything, so I could see in every direction. And then every time I would look out and I could see my TV, the same bald-headed guy standing outside my house on the corner. And then I told him, I go, there's some guy standing out. Next day I know, the TV was gone. You know, they're like, and then
really?
You know,
so you had someone break in your home?
Oh yeah! Oh, one time with the snow, and I'm like, "There's footprints," and he's like, "Oh no, those are yours." But you know, there's like different sizes, and they're at every window. And then they used a gold pen to where you'd have to a reflection, and they wrote whore, they wrote slut, they wrote like all kinds of stuff all over my walls. You know, and when I went back to get my stuff after I had moved out, and I walked in my bedroom, the sun was shining through my bedroom wall, and I could see where they had drilled holes. Because at nighttime when I lived there, I would get, you know, like a strobe light. You know, all the time the lights would be blinking on me. I guess that's how they did that. They just like messed with me for like a year doing that, and then until I finally just, you know, I left everything. I walked away, you know, thinking I could get rid of the voices. And oh no, they got louder in Colorado. They got louder, you know, like every time I see a tower, you know, they're really loud, and I can take it for like 2 weeks, maybe, you know, and then it just drains me, and I break down.
You know, Toby, some of the things, a lot of the things that you speak of that happened, so many of those things happened to me at my residence in Aurora, Colorado. I actually heard somebody go through my bedroom window on the other side of my bedroom. I could hear him going through there. I got up quick enough to run into my bedroom. They were popping through my bedroom window. I saw the back end of them going through my bedroom window. I tried my hardest to get to them before they got out my window, and I couldn't catch them, but I watched them run across the roof of my townhouse complex all the way down the other side of the townhouse complex, and the gentleman that lived across the townhouse on the other side sat there and watched him run across my townhouse, and I just looked at him, and he just kind of looked up at me like, and I could not believe my eyes. And they were breaking into my house every single day.
Yes.
Somebody actually drove a vehicle through my garage. Just boom, right through my garage. And then busted my door down on the other side of my garage. They had to board it up. I had my locks changed on my house door so many times, I stopped counting. Every time they changed the locks, they got back in. There was nothing I could do to keep them out of my house. They went through every single... Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
They went through every single one, pretty much, of my grandparents' estate boxes and just annihilated them one by one by one. My house looked like a tornado struck.
Yep.
And I would call the police. They would come by, and they would look at me and say, "What is the problem?"
Did they eat your food?
They ate my, but they would put stuff in my food.
They would eat my food.
Put stuff in my food.
Yes.
I would eat my food, and the next thing I know, I was out cold, and that's how I got assaulted, thrown down my stairs, and had my back fractured, and was gangbang raped.
Okay, Will, did you have something you wanted to add to this?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of ask all of you guys here, because I'm the only one here that fortunately hasn't gone through this. And I guess I was kind of wondering how pervasive this is and what the scope is, because, you know, I have seen that there are probably like the lower level people that are doing this, but, you know, once you start climbing up the top of the pyramid there, is it government, is it private corporations? And, you know, how many teams do you think are in a city or two, if you guys had to kind of throw a guesstimate out there?
Well, like in my particular case, Will, I lived, I found this out later on, I lived in an apartment complex or a townhouse complex that was literally taken over. The entire community was nothing but gang stalkers. This entire community was run by them. And I know now that the unit that I was living in, I call it the gang stalking house. The lady that lived there before, I have found out now, had problems as well.
Yes, okay, so we are going to commercial break, and we'll be right back. I really want to answer Will's question. As far as, to my knowledge, it's very much so government. This goes all the way into the InfraGard. Now, when people say gang stalkers, it's really not the right nomenclature. It's not the right word to call it. It's really sort of a community watch gone corrupt. And you will have your InfraGard agents, people who are unofficially deputized by a government agency like FBI or even a local police department, who is connected with whoever, maybe some Freemasons or people from this community, that community. They'll even tap into drug dealers, whoever, and they'll circulate a rumor, and then they'll get everyone really concerned about you, and then to the point of being irritated with you and wanting to have confrontation. It's really a game of high school, who's popular, who's not, who gets picked on. And this is how they get their free labor out of the people. It's really disgusting. So
Yes.
I hope you have a better image of that.
Yeah, and I saw some documents from the Canadian. I'm not sure if it was the mounted police. I don't have it right off the top of my head here, or the Canadian military themselves, where they actually talk about this in a declassified document, these gang talking techniques. So I definitely know, it's the government is probably doing that, and like you said, it was probably, InfraGard and so forth. Do you also, just I guess to follow up too, do you think there are, I'm sure these private companies, especially in the military-industrial complex, are there other actors, if you will, are there other players that may have their hands on some of this technology? Because from what I hear from you and my cursory research, it seems like, even a small, somebody with a few $100 could go ahead and just gang stalk themselves, or at least attempt to, or, am I mistaken?
Well, it depends on the level of technology you're talking about. A person can go buy an audio spotlight and project sounds into your living area through your windows, and make you hear things. That's absolutely possible. You can buy one of these things for $2,000, brand new. But as far as the remote neural monitoring, no. Only the government has that, and moreover, only the NSA, as far to my knowledge, has that. It's about 100 psychopaths in the underground bunker, the nuclear bunker, underneath the headquarters of the NSA, called the Kinney-Cohn Group. They are the only ones trusted with this. Now, most TIs think, oh, well, it's my neighbor. My neighbor has technology. No, they don't. And so that is the big thing that I'm trying to fight and get targeted individuals aware of, because that is getting the delusional psychosis going. These people want to make you seem crazy, but they can actually make you crazy.
Oh yeah.
Because of what they get you to believe.
Yeah.
I want to, excuse me, I'm sorry. I want to add a personal note here as far as Toby Hewitt. I'm sorry, I've got kind of a cold going on. I had a personal experience with Toby Hewitt. I actually stayed with Toby in Sacramento, California when I went there. This is a person who is so devoted to her family. She actually takes care of all of her grandchildren.
6 out of 14.
Yeah, 6 out of 14 grandchildren in her home, her and her husband. This is every single day she is devoted to these grandbabies, and they are just wonderful grandchildren. They love her so much, and regardless of what she has been through, she just gives her all to these babies. And I spent 4 days with this woman, and she is just incredible. She gives her all to these kids each and every day, regardless of what has happened to her. She
helped me survive.
she's a quality individual. They believe in family. They believe in old school values. They take care of each other. And it's just commendable to me how she has been able to push through what they have done to her and just move forward and take care of these kids regardless of what has happened to her. I just give her, again, I'm so sorry. I just give her so much credit for being put through all of this and still being able to say, you know what, I'm gonna give it my all.
I agree with you all the way. We gotta do station ID and we'll be right back. Now, we have the situation with Toby Hewitt being targeted, and I want to know, has things been easier for you, at least online, with the online community, getting support, things like that?
Yes. I might have like 3 that don't like me. But other than that, I love the TI community, and you know, I get along with everybody. So maybe those 3. But
Well,
you know, we can't all get along. We're all different people, you know. So we all have different opinions, different thoughts, different beliefs. So, you know, I don't have no problems with nobody except for something that's happening right now. Basically, I'm almost being framed for. I was texted, you're going to be arrested by the feds for manslaughter, and oh my God! So he's going to hurt me for the rest of my life. I got it all, a screenshot and everything.
You bring up an interesting point about the TI community and you guys all being a part of that. I was wondering if you guys, you know, saw any commonalities amongst people in the community.
You know, I am so glad that you brought that up, Will. One of the points that I've made, V and I have seen it so many times over on Targeted, and I've made this point over and over and over again. People across the world, we're talking across the world, tell the exact same story over and over and over again about the targeting issue. There are common denominators between targeted individuals all over the world, no matter where you go. They tell the same story. And if you go to the targeted community online, they are saying the same exact thing. That's why they gather in the TI community, because they finally have found a place to land where people understand what they're saying.
Yes. Now, I was surprised when I found there's people just, I Googled voices in your head. V2K came up, and one night I was just like, there's got to be a reason. And then first one I friended was Anthony. I was like, for some reason I'm getting pulled to this guy, so I friended him. I friended maybe like 5 TIs. After that, the next day, I was like, by the end of the week, there was like 150, 200. I'm like, wow, you know, and all telling me the same story. You know, I was like, I thought I was the only one. I didn't know what was going on with me. But recently, last October, I had a CAT scan because I had fallen in my garage. I kept getting these headaches really bad. And came back, you know, you could see 3 chips, you know, like, well, 3 little objects with a like wire hanging from each one of them. And I told my doctor, he goes, yeah, that does look like that. He goes, I believe it. He goes, but you know, that's not what the CAT scan was about. The CAT scan was to see if you had aneurysm, so there's nothing I can do about it. And then I get a call saying, well, you got to get a new doctor because this one is no longer around. And I'm like, wow. So I'm in the middle of that right now, you know. because it's, you know, you can see them. They're in my head, you know, and I think there's one in my hip, and I think one in my wrist. I'm getting the X-rays for my wrist because of my arthritis, but I'm pretty sure a chip will show up in that. And that's what the things do. You know, the doctors are ignoring. You know, I have these things in my head that don't belong there. You know,
If I have to say one thing that I am blessed about with the targeting is I do not have B2K. I do not hear voices. I do not see things. That is not something that I have been subjected to with my targeting, and I am very grateful for that. However, I hear so many stories, and I have knowledge of this with so many other targeted individuals that I have great sympathy for those who have that, because so many people do. And I'm so sorry for anybody that has to go through that.
Yes, if you walk under the high wires up here, you know, like on this, you know, walking on the sidewalk, it's loud. You can hear them like tuning in. You know, we're like an antenna, or there's like an antenna or whatever, you know. But you could hear them if you walk under the high wires or light bulbs. I don't like light bulbs. My house I use a lot of flashlights. The electricity. I don't like getting on my phone too often because, you know, I could hear them talking a lot, and like I don't listen to the conversation.
Do you feel like that? Well, do you feel like that you're being programmed any at all? Because that's actually something I don't hear a lot about from TIs. I think that is something that should be explored, because I know for a fact that flashing light bulbs, that's a hypnosis.
Oh no, because the light bulbs bring voices. Yeah, they're like, yeah, that's why I don't like light bulbs above my head. Of patents
dealing with light bulbs and the flickering of light that can actually program someone through their eyeballs.
Yeah, I get that in my eye, flashes like that. But yeah, at the beginning they were trying to program me, and they were trying to put me on the streets as a hooker, and but I've always respected myself, you know, and I pray to my ancestors and my warriors a lot, and I made it out of there. 3 of them beat me up pretty bad one time in this little trailer, you know, and they kept me locked up in there for like a week because they bruised me from head to toe, you know, and they gave me a stroke. They tried to kill me in a car accident. They tried to tell me to overdose, cut my wrists. I don't know what, you know, after we're, you know, like, I guess after we're dead, you know, do they want to study our brains, you know, like, because our brain stays alive? They want to, you know, trying to figure out where we go when we die. I don't know, you know, why are they doing this to us? But I think he just, because he wants to stay out of prison. One of my TI brothers, he looked him up, and he's got another long criminal record. Is doing no time at all. You know, and I'm like,
okay. Also, let me ask you this, because there's a possibility you may not make it through this. You may end up leaving this life being targeted to the day you die. That's a
I'll
good
probably
possibility.
be one, yeah.
But are you doing anything to prepare your kids, your grandkids, in any fashion whatsoever, in case they
definitely
might be targeted?
I protect these with my life. No, none of them. My husband's not. He's not a TI either, and I protected my family. You know, like, and they know chemtrails. Grandmother chemtrails. You know, they run in the house and watch cartoons. You know, they know the difference. I teach them. You know, and if I don't win, you know, for the genocide that done this to me, if the government don't pay out now, he's going to pay my generations to come, because someone's going to pay for what they're doing, you know, to all of us. You know, if they don't pay us, I don't want money from them. I want these people to pay. You know, their genocide, I want them to pay. You know, I know
Absolutely.
people that got their children affected, you know, and then here my kids see me like crazy. I didn't even know what was going on, you know, and they thought I'm all drugged out or something. No, you know, why would I come back to you guys if I'm on drugs? You know, and I couldn't tell them, well, I hear voices and I see things. And then, yeah, you must be on drugs then, you know, or something. But I wish I could go back and have him charged for, you know, poisoning me. I woke up unable to move in the worst pain ever in my life. And he just looked at me, looked in my eyes, the most evil face, like, you die, bitch. And he took off. My son, he was in his boxers because we weren't even allowed a phone. He ran to the corner in the snow and called the ambulance, and they came. And then I took 6 more months of this abuse, you know, not trying. What is this? What is going on with me? And then I went to a women's shelter, and I asked them, could you please call the hospital and ask them what was in my blood that day that I had the stroke? And they said, and then they called me back, and they said it was a high quality of horse tranquilizers. So I guess it was poisoning me the whole time. And then I went home one time. There's a note on my cupboard. It says, eat anything you want. If the dogs bother you, just say, cookie, cookie, cookie. You know, and I'm like, I know it's him doing this to me. I know it is. And then he's admitted after I got married, he goes, yeah, it's me, and you're never going to get rid of me either. And it echoed like as if he was yelling in my ear. You know, I lived at this duplex, and the wires hung pretty low over my house, you know, and now, you know, he'll talk about, I just start praying. I'll start praying, you know, and try to block them out. My family, you know, they don't know about it. My husband knows about it. One of my daughters knows. I just don't want to scare them, but eventually I know our time is coming, and they're going to pay, and I know it's soon. So, you know, we're going to win.
Oh yeah, it's going to be real soon.
Yeah, I know that's going to be soon. That's when I'm going to let my kids know, you know. But right now, I don't want to scare them. So, you know, I just protect them, and you know, and I educate them without letting them know I'm one of them. You know, my husband knows. He's, you know, he knows all about it. He believes everything. You know, he knows this is real. You know, and then, you know, he saw the chips. He gives me big magnet ashtrays, you know, when I can't take it, you know, I put it on my head at night, you know, and I'll sleep like that, you know. I'll try everything. Ice on my forehead to numb that part of my brain, you know, slow down the thoughts. Or
are there any practical solutions? I mean, I think she's bringing up something that's pretty poignant here. Like, Kristen, or do you guys have any potential solutions or ways to ease this at all?
No electricity.
Well,
Try to stay away from electricity. All electricity. I try, you know, I stay away from electricity. I'll go in my backyard, you know, on the barefoot on the grass. I just meditate, and it helps a little bit. But like if I'm alone, you know, they'll start talking to irritate me. If I do dishes, you know, they get loud with the water. They get loud with the wind. I don't know how they're. I guess because our bodies is, you know, mostly water, and so it's all a combination of the electricity, the water, you know, and they're talking through it. Like
Wi-Fi and satellite play a big part in it. You have to limit your usage of Wi-Fi as much as possible.
Yeah.
Certain applications you want to stay away from that give them access to your microphones, your cameras.
Negativity. They love negativity.
Yes, they do. And to get, I think more of what Will's asking, as far as protection, it's not something that can be done without a lot of money. This technology, to put in a nutshell, for everyone that's listening, you have the chemtrails, okay? You have these nanoparticulates, aluminum, barium, strontium, aluminum. Just the aluminum is the most important one out of it, because the aluminum acts as a, I want to say, like a conductor, basically. Think of your brain being made into an RFID chip, because you have nano-laced neural networks. Your entire synapses, everything's laced with this.
Yes.
So it turns your brain to a transceiver. These people want to hook up to your brain. They can by a satellite, no problem. Everyone's got a different phone number.
Yeah.
Also, I'll just interject this here too, and like you said, it doesn't sound like it's anything that's particularly inexpensive to go about doing. I mean, even just picking up and moving is something that is pretty darn expensive. It's going to cost at least a couple hundred, if not several $1,000s. But there is a place, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this, there's a place called Green Bank in the surrounding areas in West Virginia where cell phones, wireless devices are banned, all that type of stuff, even microwaves are banned out there. So that might be a potential promised land. Who knows? I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, that I understand how you came up with that, but scalar waves. This is the thing. They're using scalar waves, which is basically the magnetic energy without the electrical. Because whenever you have current energy moving with the electronics and whatnot, you have electric and magnetic. They can peel off the electric, and it's just magnetic scalar, which cannot be picked up by any device you and I can buy. So that's how covert it is. That's how they get away with it.
Okay.
How are they, like, they'll like read before, like they'll see what I see before I see it. They'll read, like I'm going to sit down and read, and then they laugh, they say, ha ha, like we see what you can see, and then I was watching a little transistor TV in a mobile home I used to live in, and he came on clear as day. Nobody else. They're sitting there watching the movie. Here, I'm watching the movie, but I'm seeing him, and he's saying, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, I kept it to myself because no one's going to believe me that, hey, what I just saw on this TV, a transistor TV, and another time he had a house full of, he had the prisoners, and he told me, this is Lefty, she's going to kill you. She came up to the little TV, to the screen, and she told me she was going to kill me. And Lefty, because she had one eye, and they were dressed in prison blues, and it was just like watching TV, and I'm like, and this went on for a couple years before, and then I think the third year I started studying my brain. I started reading books on psychology, brain, everything, just everything, and it started helping me. But I don't know how they did that. I had a house full of a gathering, and one guy came up and he pointed his finger at me and he told me, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, wow. And, nobody else seen this except me, They're sitting there watching the TV like they're watching the movie that we were watching, and then it would fade back out, like sizzle back out.
Do you attempt to record any of your experiences?
No, this is when I met the TIs is when I first started. I just got my Facebook. I'm learning from you guys. Who I'm learning electronics. I'm old school. Like I'm like so simple. Like simple. I like things simple, and I wish I could. I've heard people say that there's a channel you can, because when I open my freezer, he'll just start talking, da 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 da. Usually, what he's telling me is, "You love me. You know you want me. You know you love me." A lot like that, And he gets mad when I say, "Oh, I love my bear." I say it over in my head, so it angers them, and they'll say like, "Tommy, listen to her. Look what she did," and it drives me out. You guys aren't invited in my room. You're not invited in my kitchen. You're not invited for dinner. Oh, look what she's doing. Look what she's cooking. And all day. And I can block him out as long as I can make my mind focus on exactly what I'm doing. You know, be strong. I've built my own mind. You know, it's a muscle. I know. And I worked with my mind. I worked with mine so I could overpower them. I overthink them. They think I'm thinking one thing, and I'm like enjoying myself with my family, and here they're thinking like They used to tell me, "Oh, come here, here. We know we're here. We're going to make this stop. Go here, go right there. There you go, huh? Okay, we're lying, you're so stupid, And it's just the most awful feeling, to go through this over and over, thinking like, okay, well, there's one person's nice to me. One of the voices is nice to me. For her to turn around, and suddenly just start. Oh, well, I lied, like that, and kill yourself, take another pill, They talked me into taking 18 pills with a beer, and 3 days later, I woke up in a motel. My kids come in, and they're like, Mama, wake up, what are you doing? I go, what day is it? And they're like, Wednesday, and I went to sleep on a Sunday night when they told me to take all these pills. I survived it. I survived a lot of things they told me to do, and I'm here for a reason, and I ain't going nowhere, and they're going to pay. They're going to pay. Genocide is forever, and they're going to pay. My ancestors went through genocide, and now, I'm going to make sure my grandchildren, my next generations aren't going to go through this. I'm going to try my hardest.
That's the idea. That's why we're doing the show.
Yes, thank you. I'm so honored to be here like this, be able to, but this is 16 years, I could go on and on. I sit and I record, when I'm alone, sometimes I record myself when, telling about what I remember, what I went through. And then one day I'm going to put them all together, and, I record what I remember, what they put me through. They put me through a lot.
Well, that's going to be very important because
show, Toby, because you're so passionate about doing something about this problem, and you really have a desire to get something done. And I appreciate your desire to keep on going, because you really do work hard at it.
Well, I wish I could be like more involved with you all, but I got, my family. If I get more involved with everybody, they start talking more. If I'm playing with my grandbabies, and seeing them and everything, it's like my mind is focused, and I can go through the day and say, wow, I made it. I don't hear them, but then it's like after 2 weeks, it's like tap, tap, tap. They're on my head, tap, tap, tap. But it's talking, and it's like, leave me alone. I'm not, leave me alone. Get out of my home, and it's like I want to push them away. I could even feel them like breathing on me almost, and it's like if I push them away, my hands are going to go right through them, and then I can't push them away. They're there, and they're not going nowhere. And I'm just waiting for a day for I know one passed away. Well, one died for sure. One, I think he might have died after his wife, but then I still got the Bregner brothers, and I still got one of the cousins left that do this to me. So there's 4 left. One's in prison for the child molest.
I'm hoping this will not be a permanent situation for you.
Well, it's been 16 years, so yeah.
I want to thank you for coming onto the show, and we'll keep tabs on you like we always do. Mm-hmm. And we are going to definitely keep the subject going. We're going to have lots of other topics, so catch us not tomorrow, but the day after, because tomorrow's 4th of July. We're going to replay an episode. So I want to thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Red Pill Hardcore radio show, and just keep it here.
Thank you, Toby.
Thank you. I love you guys. Talk to you soon.
Yep. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Oh, did I go?
Oh, I'm trying to hang on. How do I hang up?
Did I end the show too early? Okay. Well, I just can't keep my computer
Why don't you
time
guys
sync.
briefly plug your social media so you guys can check you out on the other time before we have to go?
Well, go ahead.
I'm at Will_Turbit, TURBITT, and everywhere you can find me, YouTube, Patreon, so forth, Facebook, Demand the Truth.
All right. See you guys in a couple days.
All right. Bye-bye.